but the truth needs to be told. But I do not write with any one of you in mind. I'm sorry to say, that is not born of irreverence. It is born of the fact that I realize that what I write that is in print speaks to all the ages. Long after we're all gone, whether Nigeria finds rectitude or not in my lifetime or in yours, it will be relevant because this will survive all of us. It might very well prove to be the light by which future generations will find their ways back to sanity. That is the way I have viewed those books. This is the last of those three. I have tried my best to be faithful to the truth. I have allowed the truth to be the sole bridle for my pen, and I have written believing in the complete truthfulness of each and every word that I have put in that book. It's not impossible that I might be wrong somewhere. I doubt it. But if I am, Yorubas have this proverb. They say somebody who is short finds it very easy to prostrate. I'm usually the first to admit to my faults when I have been at fault. I had at least 4 different sets of lawyers read through this book. And my reason is simple. I know those against whom I contend. They will fight, they have fought me financially, physically, spiritually, metaphysically, name it. However they have come, God has been bigger than them. So that you would understand the need to speak for those who cannot speak for themselves. I've often felt myself closest to Hosea in the Bible. So it's not impossible that perhaps that was my oceanic complex speaking to me. But the truth of the matter is that that was the day I stopped questioning God in relation to my son. So this third book, it is my intention, and I've set up the structure already. Every dime earned from the sale of this book, now and in the future and forever, is going into the account of the Foundation for Autistic Children and their care. There is something different about this one, because I see a lot of people sometimes, because they don't know me, they don't know where I'm coming from. Some of them will be like, if they give him one position or the other now, he will keep quiet, he's looking for this, and I laugh. I have given up more than you can give me to be who I am. So there is nothing you want to give me at this point. I left it, I gave it up. So you are not giving me anything that I didn't have and walked away from. The only weapon by which you may slay the Nigerian monster is the truth. So that thing they are afraid of, it's not me. They don't even hate me. That's the truth. I know a few of you whose children, and I'm speaking beyond this physical space, I know a few people whose children are in different parts of the world. And I feel sorry when I see the country that we have all failed to build, because no matter how much money you have, regardless of what passport you carry, you can carry a British passport, carry American passport, it makes no difference. You are still a black man. To make matters even more interesting for you, you are a Nigerian. Yeah. The black person despised within Africa because of the way you have squandered opportunities. Other Africans despise you. They believe you to be wasters. And they believe you to be largely responsible for their circumstances, because they know that if you would dare to become who you were destined to be, their own lot will be better. So they look at us with barely concealed contempt. I used to enjoy traveling in the West Coast. My wife would tell you, Gambia, Ghana, used to enjoy going to all those places. Then after a while, I noticed the way they would look, the reception changed over time until we became objects of derision. When you go there, they just look at you like, see, they are like, something to be reviled. I am very sensitive to atmosphere. My wife will tell you, I think the last time I was in Dubai was in 2008 or something like that. I swore I wasn't going back there again. That place is they are racists. In fact, their own is even worse. They are supremacists. They are not racists. That's right. They are supremacists. They actually believe themselves superior to everybody else. So I don't go there. It used to be that if you cannot go to London, go to Lagos. That was the legend in Freetown. If you can't go to London, go to Lagos. Would anybody come to our filthy country again? This unsafe country that we've built for ourselves. So it is critical that in all of our spaces, in our engagements, I see people like Trikiti around who are here. These are people in the creative industry. You actually have a duty to use your platform to deliberately and consciously educate. The level of ignorance, I know Femi is doing that on a daily basis. He's committed his life to doing that. Because when I say people in the creative industry, far be it from me to ignore the fact that the silver fox at the back is anything but the exact embodiment of that. But the truth of the matter is we all have to be deliberate about using our platforms, however, wherever they might be, to engage with this system. Because what we have built as a society today is not sustainable. It is not sustainable. At some point, everything built on injustice will implode. Finally, Baba said something. He said at the end of the day, he's hoping that extreme measures will not begin to happen, where judges will be shot. I think it's only that close already. When you are looking at the level of judicial anarchy that is abroad in Kano, I partly delayed the release because I didn't want it to be painted as partisan because of my obedient leaning. I didn't want anybody to turn around and say that I wrote this book to scandalize the judiciary. So I held off from attempting to publish it until the judiciary was done with its shenanigans related to that tribunal and everything. So what I have done for my children. I have done for my conscience. I have done my own bit. Let them do their own bit.
DF has requested that we hand out a free copy of the book to everyone here present. And there will be a book signing session if you want him to personally append the signature to your copy. That will be a June 12th take home.
Ignorance in Nigeria is a very dangerous one. The first time I coined the phrase weaponized ignorance was in 1994. A journalist had come to me as the student union president at the time to ask my opinion of the year's budget. It was Abacha's first budget. So I told him that I hadn't read the budget, I didn't listen to the budget speech, and I needed to read it. So I read the budget speech for the first time in my life. And by the time I was done, I had to write an opinion piece. And what I wrote was that I was already convinced that it was a deliberate decision of the Nigerian ruling class to under-educate the children of the poor so that they might only ever be fit as servants and serfs to their own children, whom they are already selectively educating. That was back in 1994. The average African, before the unfortunate contact with both the Arabs and the West, the average one was already an accomplished farmer, so there was no poverty here unless you had famines. He was an accomplished pharmacist because he knew every herb that he needed to treat his common ailments. He could build his own house. So the basic system, the culture, had an educational system embedded in it, and it cured general ignorance. All you need to do to see the depth of thoughts that went behind our systems, just listen to our proverbs. Our proverbs, almost every African proverb has an equivalent in scripture. If I was a good student of the Bible, I'm sure that for every Yoruba proverb I know a Bible verse, there will be opposite. So you find that very deep cognition and thought were behind what we have discarded today. So what we've been given, or even the one they call education, is ignorance. So now, to now educate these ones that are already victims of state policies, what you find is that is what has led me to my Sunday school. I realized that writing is a waste of time. That's why I said I didn't write this book for this generation, because we have become increasingly Philistinic. We don't have any capacity to do anything outside of existential consideration. To even have time to think has become a luxury on its own. So I took it upon myself to start giving the lecture I give on Sundays, understanding the fact that even though they find it difficult to read, I can reach them by talking to them. I might write an essay, which is what each and every one of those lectures actually have. In the old days, when I find myself vexed by something, I'll pick up my pen and I'll write an essay. Because I know that if I wrote the essay, I'll be lucky if 50 people will read. But if I give a lecture, I might have as many as 10,000 people watching. So it means that, okay, so the engagement between myself and the audience has been increased simply because I found the medium by which I can reach the person. So the constant battle to erase ignorance is multi-layered. Is multi-layered. I have said it multiple times. In fact, when I was speaking with this my brother Obina the other day, I was telling him that I know one pastor that I can still vouch for within our ecosystem. I mentioned Pastor Edogon. Why am I saying this? Religion has become culpable in our issue. Both Christianity and Islam have become tools of enslavement by which the system compounds the ignorance that it has used to hold the people bound. So you are not just dealing with ignorance at the level of they don't know. What about when you are now dealing with willful ignorance? I see people decrying racism, and they are tribalists. They are ethno-religious jingoists. But they say the racist is evil. The racist is at least a different color from the person that is discriminating against. So at least you can still find some rationale, as insane as it might be, for his madness. What do you say of the Igbo man who looks at the Yoruba man and considers him less of a human being, or a Yoruba man who looks at an Igbo man and believes that he's any different from himself, or the Yoruba man who looks at the Fulani man or the Hausa woman and believes that he's superior in some ways, and yet we're all the same colors. We mirror ourselves. So if I have not finished speaking to the stupid morons who call themselves tribalists or ethno-religious supremacists, why would I be looking to the racist? The racist has a reason for his racism. We have even offered sufficient reasons. That's why you find that other Africans looking at us funny. We've offered sufficient reasons to be despised. So if a racist elects to look at us and talk down at us or abuse us in any way, they can call our country a shithole country credibly. That's a racist remark, but it's a credible remark. You don't count a 9-fingered person's toes in his presence, but sometimes it's good to count it. And that's what we are doing here. Sometimes it's actually good You say they will read. They will read this one, don't worry. The way it's written, Baba alluded to it, is racy.
And I'm very used to this man. He doesn't do anything to please you. I'll say two things. He's a very simple man.
I was determined to be here because by the grace of God, I think I have now seen you birth the 3 books. And I want to salute you. He walks his talk. And I think that's something that's very rare in Nigeria. Not just in Nigerian leadership, in Nigerians as a whole. The Nigerian is very complex. The Nigerian is a bundle of contradictions. Everyone that we complain about who is in leadership is enabled by one of those suffering. But there's really nothing brave about calling these guys out. Because there's really nothing special about them. What do we do to get us back to who we were? Who we were is really about what these values made of us. What have we all done with family? How come our children are like this? How come our relationship with money has become like this? That's really what we worship. And we encourage nonsense. They create a new value system for us. That new value system is our real problem. Because as long as money is really at the top of our agenda, there is no way to question leadership, because leadership knows you can be bought. I used to have an uncle, each time I went to Gebo, the flag in front of his house would change. I told you. He had Labour flag one time, then he had AG flag one time. But the flag that is up is the flag that is paying. So, I can say that about all of us.
Even the days of Jesus, so we're following him because of the food. He knew.
Yes.
He knew. He knew, and he often preached in his sermons. It takes only very few people to ignite the movement.
I want us to leave here understanding that there is hope because you're here, and we'll just keep paying it forward. A lot has been said today about our children. A lot has been said, about the fact that if we keep quiet, your voice might not be the loudest, but say something where you are. Because darkness, all that it takes to dispel darkness is just a flick of light. So thank you very much for all you do.
So, some of the first thing I said about Dele is that he's not religious. He's anti-religious, but he's deeply spiritual. And there's the reason I'm saying this.
Very much. I guess with this it's a wrap. We could go on and on and on.
I'm giving some land in the free trade zone for the construction of this center for special children. I know this will only provide some level of seed funding, but eventually, maybe sometime later this year or next year, we will have a formal launching of the foundation, and we will also have a more deliberate attempt at fundraising, because we will know exactly how much is required to build the center by then. So please expect me to come and meet all of you and come and rag you. If you know what ragging means, I will rag you. It's for a good cause. Even typical children do not have any facility open to them in this country. How much more children on the spectrum? It's heartbreaking sometimes when I consider how they have nothing available to them. I know what I have to do. I know what my wife has had to give up on account of her son. And I know how much it costs to maintain the support system required to offer him some level of functionality. I would love to have that available to children who are from homes that are already struggling, even when Nigeria wasn't this bad. So I recognize just how much it has taken for each and every one of you to be here. It can sometimes be a pretty lonely walk and it can also be dispiriting sometimes. But after a while, I came to realize that there are actually quite a lot of people, like Tricky T, who I'm seeing for the first time physically today, like Mema, who I met online, like Miriam, who I haven't seen in a bit until she showed up again a few weeks ago. I know it's taking all of you some sacrifice or the other to be here. And I appreciate it. I don't take it lightly. I understand that it's a commitment. My brother Ralph here is one of the busiest human beings I know. Full-time pastor with him, full-time law office, head of law office, full-time husband and father as well. But he's here. I thank each and every one of you for giving up your time to be with us today. May God bless you all.
What's the name, sir? What's the name?
Ralph.
Oh, Mr. Ralph.
I'm not his friend.
I don't look at who's this. I didn't know like it's a celebrity here, man. Huh?
We are here, Bukulan, Uncle Dele.
What's my name?
Mema.
No, yeah, talking about Uncle Dele.
Bukulan, Uncle Dele. I want to go and read the book. I will now do review.
You know the funny thing about when he signed my own, for mermaids. That's why he calls me.
What's the difference?
So DF is feeding us. All right. Having fed, mentally hands.
Yes.
His own food, I'm taking it because celebrities.
No, that's not true. Let me not feed you now. That's we do.